Throughout history, entire nations have risen, thrived, and vanished, some lost through war, others through politics, and a few quietly erased by time itself. In today's episode, we're uncovering 10 countries that no longer exist, exploring how they began, why they fell apart, and the hidden stories they left behind. Let's begin our countdown. Number 10. The United Arab Republic, 1958 to 1961. In the late 1950s, Arab nationalism was at its peak, and Egypt's leader Gamal Abdel Nasser dreamed of uniting Arab nations under one flag. That vision became reality when Egypt and Syria merged to form the United Arab Republic. The union promised strength, independence from Western influence, and a shared Arab identity. But unity came with imbalance. Egypt, far larger and more powerful, dominated the new government, leaving Syrians feeling overshadowed and unheard. Economic and political control rested in Cairo, while Syrian leaders struggled to maintain influence. By 1961, tensions reached a breaking point. A Syrian coup ended the union after just 3 years. Egypt kept the name, United Arab Republic, for a while, but the dream of a single Arab nation faded, leaving behind both pride and disappointment in what could have been. Number 9. The Kingdom of Hawaii, 1795 to 1898. Long before it became America's 50th state, Hawaii was an independent kingdom recognized by major powers around the world. Founded by King Kamehameha I in 1795, it united the islands into one realm that thrived on trade, treaties, and diplomacy. For nearly a century, Hawaii maintained its sovereignty until outside interests began to reshape its future. As American business influence grew, sugar planters and foreign elites pushed for political control. The 1887 Bayonet Constitution forced the king to surrender much of his authority. When Queen Liliuokalani tried to restore royal power, she was overthrown in a coup supported by U.S. Marines and local businessmen. By 1898, the United States annexed Hawaii, citing its strategic location during the Spanish-American War. The monarchy was gone, replaced by a republic and later a U.S. territory. To this day, Native Hawaiians continue to debate sovereignty, independence, and the legacy of the overthrow that ended their kingdom. Number 8. East Germany, 1949 to 1990. After World War II, Germany was divided between East and West, creating two nations with two ideologies. East Germany, officially the German Democratic Republic, became a socialist state under Soviet influence. It industrialized quickly but restricted freedoms and built one of the most heavily surveilled societies in history. In 1961, the government erected the Berlin Wall to stop its citizens from fleeing to the West. Life behind the wall was marked by propaganda, shortages, and constant monitoring by the secret police, the Stasi. Yet East Germany also fostered strong education, culture, and Olympic success, showing both control and achievement. By the late 1980s, protests for freedom spread across the country. When the Berlin Wall fell in November 1989, it became a global symbol of change. Within a year, East Germany ceased to exist, merging with the West to form a reunified nation and closing one of the most dramatic chapters of the Cold War. Number 7. Yugoslavia, 1918 to 2003. Created in the aftermath of World War I, Yugoslavia united several South Slavic peoples, Serbs, Croats, Slovenes, and others, under one monarchy. After World War II, the communist leader Josip Broz Tito rebuilt the country into a socialist federation independent of both the U.S. and the Soviet Union. For decades, Yugoslavia seemed stable, prosperous, and uniquely balanced between East and West. But beneath the surface, ethnic tensions and economic struggles never truly disappeared. When Tito died in 1980, his powerful presence vanished and nationalism began to rise across the republics. Political divisions deepened and calls for independence grew louder. By the early 1990s, the federation collapsed into multiple wars that tore the Balkans apart. New nations emerged: Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, and later Kosovo. Yugoslavia vanished, leaving behind memories of unity and scars from one of Europe's most painful breakups. Number 6. Sikkim to India, 1975. Hidden in the Himalayas between India, Nepal, and Tibet, the tiny kingdom of Sikkim was ruled by the Namgyal dynasty for centuries. After British rule ended in India, Sikkim chose to remain a protectorate, self-governing, but under Indian defense and diplomacy. For a time, The arrangement held, balancing royal tradition with regional security. However, tensions rose as political movements within Sikkim demanded democracy and equality for its Nepali-speaking majority. Protests in the early 1970s grew intense, and India stepped in to restore order while mediating reforms. The monarchy's authority weakened with every step toward modern governance. In 1975, a referendum decided Sikkim's future. The results showed overwhelming support for joining India, officially making it the country's 22nd state. The kingdom ended quietly, its royal palace became history, and the Himalayas watched another border change without a single battle. Number 5. Biafra, 1967 to 1970. In the late 1960s, Nigeria, barely 7 years old as an independent nation, was tearing itself apart. Political coups, ethnic rivalries, and massacres targeted the Igbo population of the East. In response, the region's leader, Colonel Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, declared the independent Republic of Biafra in 1967. For many, it was a desperate bid for survival, not power. The new state was unrecognized by most of the world and quickly encircled by federal forces. As fighting dragged on, Biafra's people faced one of the worst humanitarian crises of the 20th century. Images of starving children reached global headlines, and international aid began airlifting food under dangerous conditions. By January 1970, after immense suffering and millions of deaths, Biafra surrendered to Nigeria. The federal government declared no victor, no vanquished, and began a process of reconciliation. But decades later, the name Biafra still echoes in Nigeria's politics, a symbol of both tragedy and resilience. Number 4. South Yemen, 1967 to 1990. At the southern tip of the Arabian Peninsula, British-controlled Aden was once a major port and military base. After years of unrest and guerrilla warfare, Britain withdrew in 1967, leaving behind the newly declared People's Republic of South Yemen. Soon after, it became the Arab world's only Marxist state, aligning closely with the Soviet Union. The government introduced socialist reforms, nationalizing industries, promoting women's rights, and expanding education. Yet, political purges and internal rivalries kept the country unstable. Relations with neighboring North Yemen were tense, with occasional clashes along their shared border. When the Cold War began to cool and the Soviet Union weakened, South Yemen's economy faltered. In 1990, both Yemens agreed to reunify, forming the modern Republic of Yemen. The Union didn't erase the differences, though. Civil war erupted just 4 years later, proving that South Yemen's legacy never truly disappeared. Number 3. Czechoslovakia, 1918 to 1992. Born from the ashes of the Austro-Hungarian Empire after World War I, Czechoslovakia united Czechs and Slovaks into one democratic republic. It became one of Central Europe's most stable nations, with strong industry and progressive politics. But its location and its diversity made it vulnerable to the storms ahead. In 1938, the Munich Agreement allowed Nazi Germany to annex parts of the country, and by 1939, it was fully occupied. After World War II, freedom returned briefly before a communist coup in 1948 placed Czechoslovakia behind the Iron Curtain. Life under Soviet influence brought order, but at the cost of freedom. The Prague Spring of 1968 promised reform and openness until Soviet tanks crushed it. 2 decades later, the Velvet Revolution ended communist rule peacefully, and in 1993, the Velvet Divorce split the nation into the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It was one of history's rare separations without war, an ending as calm as its name. Number 2. Tibet, 1912 to 1951. Perched high in the Himalayas, Tibet operated as an independent state after China's Qing dynasty collapsed in 1911. For decades, it ran its own government, printed its own currency, and lived under the spiritual leadership of the Dalai Lama. But despite its autonomy, few nations recognized Tibet as fully independent, leaving it isolated and vulnerable. In 1950, China's newly formed communist government sent troops into Tibet, calling it a peaceful liberation. Outmatched militarily, Tibetan leaders signed the 17-point agreement acknowledging Chinese sovereignty in exchange for autonomy. That balance didn't last long. By 1959, tensions erupted into a full uprising in Lhasa. The revolt was crushed, and the Dalai Lama fled into exile in India, where he still leads a government in exile today. Tibet became part of China as the Tibet Autonomous Region, but the debate over its freedom continues more than 70 years later. Number 1. The Ottoman Empire, 1299 to 1922. For over 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire ruled vast lands across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. From the heights of Istanbul's palaces to the deserts of Arabia, it was one of history's longest-lasting empires. But by the 19th century, its power was fading, and European rivals called it the sick man of Europe. World War I sealed its fate. The Ottomans sided with Germany and Austria-Hungary and suffered devastating defeats. In 1920, the Treaty of Sèvres divided most of its remaining lands among the victorious Allied powers. Turkish nationalists, led by Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, rejected the treaty and launched a war of independence. In 1922, the Sultanate was abolished, ending more than 600 years of Ottoman rule. 1 year later, the Republic of Turkey rose in its place, a modern, secular nation born from imperial ashes. The Ottoman Empire disappeared from maps, but its cultural and architectural legacy still shapes cities and societies across 3 continents. From vanished kingdoms to forgotten republics, these lost nations remind us that borders aren't permanent. They're chapters in a story that's still being written. Every empire believed it would last forever until history turned the page. Which of these countries surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed uncovering the past with us, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories the world tried to forget. This is The Hidden Secrets, and I'll see you in the next one.